Yeah, so I don't think I'm actually supposed to have the skin right now, but I'm not complaining. If you're confused as to what I mean, don't worry, I'll explain it then. But this is the Blood Red Riding Hood skin. You unlock this for completing the new Trick or Treat event in Modern Warfare 3/Warzone. The only problem is there is no way that I actually unlocked this legit. Like, I'm pretty sure my game is bugged because I went through and completed all 4 of these things here. Like, if you go into multiplayer or zombies, which I decided to do this in zombies, I ended up getting like almost 10,000 pieces in one game or something like that just because I was grinding the exfils and then I went off to do some contracts and stuff like that, and I was able to complete basically all of this in one game. But as soon as I completed this 4th tab here, it ended up giving me the Blood Red Riding Hood skin. So I don't know if this is a thing where this was like a community event, and therefore since everybody in the community collectively collected this amount of candy, we all got the skin, or if this is just something where each player was individually supposed to get this amount of candy. But again, my game was bugged. I have no idea. Again, I'm not necessarily complaining because I'm trying to decipher how many zeros are there. That's either 1 million or 100,000 candies. I can't tell which one it is. Okay, so if I'm counting correctly, yeah, that looks like 1 million candies, so maybe it was just a community event thing. I have no idea. Anyway, outside of the Blood Red Riding Hood skin, we'll go ahead and run over all the other things you can unlock. So I don't really even know what these mean here, the Trick or Treat things. I don't know if treat just means you got more candy and then trick was just something else, but the tricks are kind of funny, so we'll go through this. First, you get a double Battle Pass XP token, then it's either a trick or a treat. I got a treat. After that, you get the Follow the Rules or Die emblem, and then I ended up getting a trick, which the tricks just end up giving you like a funny little tagline at the bottom. So mine says, there are other maps besides Shipment. I feel personally attacked. As a camo grinder, I have at least like 200 to 300 hours on Shipment on this game, just like that map alone. So yeah, not to mention last year and Vanguard and Enemy 2019 and Call of Duty World War II. You know what, let's just stop there. After that, I ended up getting a treat, and then I got another trick which says if you're on Wi-Fi, you're throwing, which hey, I play on Wi-Fi and I do just fine. I don't know what the whole stigma is with Wi-Fi because like everybody's always like, oh man, I get all these lag spikes, but it's just like, hey man, maybe you or the distance to your Wi-Fi or your Wi-Fi just sucks because I play my consoles on Wi-Fi and I have no issues. After that, you get the Give Me Candy weapon decal or weapon sticker. Then I got another trick that says when in doubt, blame aim assist. And then you get the Halloween Spoils camo, which we'll go ahead and take a look at in a moment. Then I got another treat. Then I got the Jack-o'-lantern charm. After that, I got another trick which says at least we didn't bring back Krampus this year, which yeah, I mean, hey, some of those past haunting events, oh man, it's a whole other thing. After that, you get a double weapon XP token, and then I got another treat, and then I got another trick which says low KD, shoot bodies. That'll show everyone how good you are. After that, I got another treat, which again, not exactly sure what that means, and then I got a tier skip for the battle pass. Then you get a trick which says give your team a threat and PTFO. Then you get the trick or treat loading screen, then a Holly Ho chocolate bar. I think that's a calling card. And then finally, I got another treat. So yeah, that's the event. Again, it's pretty easy. I ended up completing all 4 of these tabs in zombies in literally one match. And then as for this really big tab, again, I don't know if that was a community event or if that's something you were supposed to do by yourself, but regardless, my game ended up, if it was something you're supposed to do by yourself, then that means my game clearly glitched out after completing these. Or, again, if it was a community event, then everybody in the game should just tab this right now, so I'm not sure which it is. Besides that, unfortunately, we have to wait another week until we can look at the drawn and quarter camo, so we'll be covering that next week. But at the very least, for completing this week's set of weekly challenges, you unlock the Cian starter blueprint for the Bal 27, and, you know, it looks pretty cool, pretty spooky, bloody, Halloween themed. There's like a little bit of an animation effect on it, basically like, you can kind of see it there. They're like certain letters on the weapon will start flashing red at random intervals, so there's that, but otherwise, yeah, you know, it's pretty solid in terms of shooting it. The recoil control is actually pretty solid. The ADS speed is definitely a little slow. The sprint to fire, yeah, that's pretty slow as well. So if you're going to use this thing, I'd probably recommend switching out some of the attachments just to speed that up. Maybe take off the reticle sight and then slap on like a laser or some kind. Regardless, it still looks pretty cool, so I'm just happy to have a free blueprint. And then as we were looking at before, this is the Halloween Spoils camo that you unlock for completing the Trick or Treat event, kinda. You don't actually have to complete the entire thing, you just have to get to that certain point in the second tab there, or the second slot of the event, and then, yeah, you know, it's not animated or anything, but as I've said like dozens of times at this point, not every camo needs to be animated. Sometimes, as long as the camo looks good enough, even if it's static, sometimes I'm actually in that mood to go back and just use a static camo, because as much as I love all the crazy and awesome animated camos in the game, sometimes you can get kind of desensitized to it all, so going back and using a classic camo like this, where it's just static but it looks nice, you know, there's some charm to that, so I'll definitely be rocking this during spooky season. It would have been cool if maybe there could have been some animation to it, though. Like, imagine if, like, you know, like, the candy cords and all the candies on it could have been, like, flashing or something, like, flashing orange rather than just straight up moving, but otherwise, I mean, again, it looks pretty solid. I dig it. I also can't confirm this, but it does seem a little glowy, so there might be some dark, like, glow-in-the-dark elements to it, but again, do not quote me on that. It looks kind of glowy, and in the darker environments, it seems to pop a bit more, so that might be worth testing. Beyond all that, I'm just so glad that they finally gave us another free skin you could actually unlock in game. Obviously, throughout the year, we've had a few, like the Bone Ripper skin that you unlock for completing all of the missions over in Zombies, or at least the first 3 acts of missions. And then we had the Killshot skin back during Season 2, I want to say, that we were able to unlock for free. There was another one, there was the WWE skin during Season 5, and now finally here with the Blood Red Riding Hood skin. Again, another free skin we're able to unlock. So there was a good 4 or 5, maybe 6 skins in total throughout the year. I say upwards of 6 because if you play ranked play, there's also like skins you can unlock over there, and depending how high you get in the ranks there, obviously you can unlock more and more. At this point, I'm not really expecting there to be many more events in the game. I mean, we have 2 weeks of this event lasting, and then after that, I mean, that takes us up to basically the last week before Black Ops 6 comes out, and at that point, I'm assuming early access for the campaign is going to get started like they've done every other single year, so I'm assuming this is probably actually going to be like the last main event for Modern Warfare 3's lifecycle. They might throw one more in there before the next game comes out, but who knows? I apologize. I called the skin Bone Ripper before. It's actually called the Bone Collector. You know what I meant. It's crazy to think we're only like 3 weeks away from the new Call of Duty releasing at this point. I don't even know where this last year went. Like, it does not feel like it's been a whole year since Modern Warfare 3 released. Then again, Modern Warfare 3 didn't release until like midway through this last November, so I mean, Modern Warfare 3 didn't even have a full life cycle. It only had like 11 months, really. It's not like it's getting gypped by a major amount. It's only about like 2 or 3 weeks. But I mean, in terms of a Call of Duty life cycle, when it's already as short as it is of 1 year, 2 to 3 weeks, that's already like 1/24 of the game's life cycle. And I know that doesn't sound like much, but I mean, for a Call of Duty game, yeah, it's still a lot. Okay, so this is gonna sound really stupid, but you guys know how in Modern Warfare 2019, when you earn a score streak, the little UAV icon on the left or on the right would be blue. Well, then in Modern Warfare 2, obviously since that game's main color scheme was green, that little icon was green. In Modern Warfare 3, with this game's main color scheme being red, I always thought that, like, hey, why didn't they make it red? Why did they just make it blue again for that little icon? But thankfully, with this Halloween event, they finally made it red the way that I feel it should have been since the beginning of this year. In fact, I remember in one of my earliest Modern Warfare 3 videos, I had an entire, like, 2 or 3 minute segment where I was literally talking about that, but I ended up cutting it from the video just because I was like, you know what, that's probably stupid. Like, people are probably just gonna be like, dude, what are you even talking about? Like, it wasn't even relevant to the video, so I ended up cutting it. But it's funny because that thing that I wanted to talk about in that video, but I ended up cutting, and then I've been thinking about it kind of in the back of my mind throughout the entire year. They ended up doing it, which, you know, I just thought that was pretty cool, even if it is just because of the Halloween event going on right now, and just with it being spooky season and all. Of all the shipments in the game, why in the world did it give me the one that I've been playing on for the last 2 years? Man, Modern Warfare 2, that was 2 years ago already? I know that sounds like such a no-duh thing, like, well, yeah, duh, last year was MW3, of course 2 years ago was MW2, but, like, seriously, dude, it does not feel like it's been an entire 2 years since we were in the hype cycle for Modern Warfare 2, and then the game released, and playing it for the first time, but yeah, it has been an entire 2 years since that game came out, and I started the Orion grind. Man, things were so different on this channel back then. Late 2022, that would have been around the time that I was making, like, Dark Souls videos, and then that was also just when I was still kind of finding myself in terms of my content. Like, I've always had a pretty distinct identity when it comes to, like, me, my content, how my content is created and edited and recorded and all that, but, like, I don't know, that was still that funky era where, oh, look at that, I ended up completing a weekly challenge by accident. That was still just a bit of a quirky era where I was just kind of figuring everything out. You know, it's one of those things with content creation where I don't think you should ever have it figured out. You know, you should always be open to experimentation, trying new things, trying to make different kinds of content, just, you know, making sure you're actually having fun with it. The last thing you want to do as a content creator, I don't care if you're a YouTuber, streamer, if you're a painter, if you make music, like, I don't care what it is, you should always be having fun and enjoying your craft and having a creative or motivational drive in some kind to create and have that passion there, because once you start creating something, again, doesn't matter if you're a, you know, YouTuber, streamer, I don't care if you're making, like, adult films, there needs to be a certain level of passion there in order for there to be any value or any authenticity or genuineness to your content that you're creating. Because once you lose that drive and once you lose that passion and you're just creating things for the sake of it, whether it be for money or just to keep up consistency for the sake of saying that you're keeping up consistency, well then at that point it's just gonna feel artificial, and at that point it's gonna start to feel rather robotic, and that's when you start to lose not only your fans and people that watch you or enjoy your content, but also just when you kind of just lose sight of why you started to do it in the first place, and at that point it's just kind of meaningless, and you'd be better off just, you know, doing something else with your time that you'd rather be doing. I have no idea how or why I'm shrieking out right now. This is Shipment. This is like the last map that you'd ever expect to be shrieking out on just because of like how often people die, but if I can get this chopper gunner, I mean, I'd be happy with that. And never mind, I got blown up by a Semtex. I know I should really be playing the objective, but it's Shipment, dog. Like, if I even try to get on this objective, watch. I'm gonna stand here, I'm giving it 10 seconds until I'm dead. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. 3... I couldn't even make it to 3 seconds on the hard point, brother. But anyways, like I was saying before, yeah, things are just so different on the channel at the time, and even within the last year, it's been fun just really experimenting, going outside of my element, but like I was saying before, as a content creator, you should never really have things figured out. I mean, you should definitely have at least some sort of identity within your content as to, like, how you portray yourself, or, yeah, and when you're portraying yourself, it should never really be a character unless your content revolves around a character or, like, a sketch in some way, in which case, you know, obviously that's different. But I really do think when it comes to content creation, as long as it fits your content style, you should really just always shoot to be as genuine as possible. It just really makes me sad when I see content creators that are, you know, new to the scene, because obviously, you know, even though I'm still a small creator, I'm not new to the scene. I've been creating videos off and on since 2009, and then I've been on this daily streak since the middle of 2020. It just makes me sad when I see all these new creators where they get on the camera and they start screaming and yelling, or they start imitating their favorite Call of Duty YouTubers, whether it be through the, like, the talking style, the recording style, the editing style, because, you know, I read the comments all the time. People are always in my comments on TikTok and on YouTube. They're like, man, this dude's like a FaZe Jev clone, or he's copying FaZe Jev. Some people say it just to be funny, and others are trying to actively be rude, but either way, it doesn't bother me, because I learned years ago not to actually let things that I read on the internet emotionally affect me in any way. I'm more mature than that, and I know better than that. Literally, nothing that you read on the internet matters. You're gonna forget about it in 30 seconds either way. Like, just don't get emotionally invested in something that you're not even gonna care about in 30 seconds anyway. Man, I'm popping off. But the funniest part is, like, I don't even try to do that, obviously. Like, I don't imitate anybody. Like, the moment that you try to imitate somebody in your content, or you try to, like, copy their style, again, it goes back to what I was saying before of, like, why are you even doing it at that point if it's not going to be original? If you're not going to do something that's unique to you and your content, and you're just biting off of somebody else in the hope of garnering some kind of publicity just because your content is similar to theirs, then, like, why? What's the point then? It's like all those times that video games are released, like XDefiant, for example. I hate, you know, calling out a game by name like this, but I mean, at this current point in time, that I'm not saying that the game necessarily was marketing itself as this, but like everybody in the community was marketing it as like, oh, this is the new COD killer. And then when, you know, a few months later, COD's still doing just as fine as it ever has, and XDefiant, I mean, it's hard to find a match some days. And yeah, like, I was literally on just the other day, and it took a long time to find a match. I'm not saying that XDefiant is bad, it's just one of those things where it makes me sad, because that game genuinely has a lot of potential, and it's a lot of fun to play. It's just that when you market something as either being a copy of another thing, or a replacement for another thing, eventually everybody's just gonna go back to the original thing. So rather than copying somebody, you should always try to stick out and be that original thing that others want to copy. I'm not necessarily saying either way that it's good for anybody to copy anybody, like, of course it's not. I'm just saying that you should be so good that you make others jealous that they're not as good as you, or be so unique that other people are jealous that they're not as unique as you, and like try to actually just be their genuine unique selves. That's like my #1 rule with content. Just be authentic and be yourself. No matter how entertaining or boring you are, just be as you can, and you will find your audience within time. Rarely, if ever, do I actually address comments and other things like that in my videos, but that was just one of those things where it was relevant to the conversation. I figure since, you know, I get dozens of comments like that on a daily basis of people, it's either people, you know, trying to be funny, being like, hey man, this guy kind of sounds like FaZe Jev, or other people kind of being like, yo, are you like trying to bite off his style or copy him? And like, no, I'm not. I can't help the fact that God gave me vocal cords that just so happen to sometimes get to that like lower level that Jev's does, and we end up hitting like a same key in our vocals. Like, I can't help that. Similarly, our content is not that similar. Like, you know, some people try to always, you know, point at me, be like, oh man, like the editing style, this, that, or the other. But if you actually watch our videos and know anything about editing, yeah, sure, the fact that we both made quick cut content where like sometimes we cut ourselves off mid-sentence, or stutter over our words, or one thing or another, or like just kind of barely piece together sentences. One, the way that we do it, his is a lot faster and a lot different compared to mine, like the style of his cuts and frequency of his cuts and like the style of his edits. And furthermore, dog, like every YouTuber in existence does that nowadays. It just so happens that I have to do it because I have this thing where sometimes when when I'm multitasking, aka like, you know, playing a game and trying to commentate at the same time, my brain has trouble actually honing in on and focusing on both at the same time. So that's why sometimes when unless I'm really focusing on both, like just like going in on it, I'm talking to an extent where it literally utilizes like all of my brain energy, where I'm really focusing on making sure the commentary and gameplay are on point, then you know, sometimes I can get something good out of it. But for the most part, if I'm talking and playing, one or the other is going to suffer at least a little bit. And that's just purely an ADHD thing, because I have raging ADHD. So that's why a lot of times I end up just having to like, you know, piece my sentences together with editing just to make everything sound cohesive and not like a jumbled mess, which even then, most times my commentary still ends up sounding like a jumbled mess just because I have a pretty difficult time forming sentences sometimes. Anyways, this match is all but over. Just like that, there it is. There's the victory. 227 to 173. 83 kills, 122 on the hard point. Weak sauce. I definitely could have had more kills, but I mean, you guys saw me. I was literally like putting the controller down and talking multiple points. I definitely could have hit 100 if I would have just honed in and kept going, but it is what it is. Only 25 deaths as well. Again, I definitely could have done better if I was focusing and not literally taking my hands off the controller. Man, now I really want to know what could have happened if I really would have focused. Could I have had like a 100 to 20, like a full-on 5 KD or something? Dude, now I need to, like, what could have happened? It is what it is. Anyway, yeah, that's the new event, and, yeah, I don't know. This might be the last event for Modern Warfare 3. There might be another one yet, but regardless, it's been a great year. Been a lot of fun events and such, and this won't be the last video on Modern Warfare 3, of course. You know, we'll make sure to hop back on and at least make a few more videos before Black Ops 6 comes out, but, man, can't believe the end is already almost here for Modern Warfare 3. But anyway, as always, massive shout out, thank you to all the Patrons and channel members. Thank you to all you in the low baller tier, and maybe shout out thank you to all the big baller tier, Melasking, and big anime, and the channel, and G tier, run, and some of the go. Thank you guys so much, you guys are literal legends. I love you. Have an amazing day, stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.